I thought I was smart. 58 years old, divorced, pension secure, and I'd seen enough of the world to know when someone was playing games. But when Nim smiled at me that first day at the flower market in Chiang Mai, when she said, "You have good heart," in that soft voice, I felt something I thought was dead forever. I should have known when she asked for my ATM card on our third date. But God help me, I handed it over with a smile. I thought I was finally living again. Turns out I was just dying slower. 3 months later, I'm sitting here broke, alone, and wondering how a man my age could be so blind. But I need to tell the story. Maybe it'll save someone else from making the same mistake I did. If you like our videos, please subscribe and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. I'm sitting in this little cafe in Chiang Mai watching Nim laugh at something I said about American coffee, and I can't remember the last time someone found me genuinely funny. American coffee tastes like dirty water, she says, covering her mouth with her hand like she's embarrassed by her own boldness. Her laugh is real, not the polite kind I got used to back home after Sarah left me. It's been 8 months since I landed in Thailand, trying to figure out what a 58-year-old divorced insurance adjuster does with the rest of his life. The pension's decent, the weather's warm, and nobody here knows I used to cry myself to sleep in a house that felt like a tomb. "You try Thai coffee," Nim says, signaling the waitress. "Much better. Sweet like Thai girl." She winks when she says this, and something inside my chest that's been frozen for 3 years starts to thaw. I met her yesterday at the flower market downtown where she works. I was buying roses for my landlord's wife, some stupid American gesture to show appreciation, when this beautiful woman with gentle eyes and calloused hands from handling flowers all day approached me. "These roses no good," she said, shaking her head. "I show you better ones." She spent 20 minutes helping me pick the perfect bouquet, explaining the meaning of different colors, her English careful but confident. When I tried to tip her, she refused. "You have good heart," she said, touching my arm briefly. "That worth more than money." That touch? Jesus, when was the last time a woman touched me like that? Like I mattered. "You a teacher?" she asks now, stirring sugar into my coffee. I shake my head. "Insurance." She nods like this is the most fascinating profession in the world. "You help people when bad things happen. Very important job." Sarah used to roll her eyes when I talked about work. Said insurance was the most boring topic on earth. But Nim leans forward, genuinely interested as I explain what I used to do. "You must see many sad stories," she says. "Make you understand life is short, yes?" I nod, thinking about all the claims I processed. Car accidents, house fires, sudden deaths. Always someone left behind, trying to pick up the pieces. Life very short, I agree. That's why I came here. To live a little before it's too late. She smiles at this, a sad kind of smile that makes me want to protect her from whatever put that shadow in her eyes. "You're a brave man, Jackie. Not easy to start new life at. How old are you?" 58. 58, she repeats like she's memorizing it. "In Thailand, we respect elder. You have wisdom. Experience. Young men here, they only think about money, about having fun. But older man, he know how to take care of woman." The way she says it like it's a compliment instead of a reminder of my age makes me sit up straighter. Sarah used to complain I was getting old, that I needed to dye my gray hair, that I should try to look younger. But Nim looks at my weathered hands and gray temples like there's something valuable. "You married before?" she asks, and I find myself telling her about Sarah, about the divorce, about how I felt like a failure at everything that mattered. She listens without judgment, nodding in the right places, her eyes soft with understanding. "She not appreciate good man," Nim says simply. "Her loss." 3 words. Her loss. When was the last time someone took my side? When was the last time someone thought I was worth fighting for? "What about you?" Ask. "Ever married?" She shakes her head. "Almost. But he leave for Bangkok. Want big city life. I stay here with family." There's pain in her voice, carefully controlled. "Better this way," she adds quickly. "He not ready for commitment. I want man who stay, who build life together." The hope in her voice when she says this makes my chest tight. Here's this beautiful, kind woman who's been hurt too, who wants the same things I want. Stability, partnership, someone to wake up next to who's glad you're there. "Maybe," I say, surprising myself with my boldness. "Maybe you find that man someday." She looks at me over her coffee cup, her eyes holding mine for a long moment. "Maybe I already did," she says quietly. The silence that follows isn't awkward. It's full of possibility, full of hope I thought I'd lost forever. When I walk her back to the flower market, she stops outside her stall and turns to me. Jackie, she says, her voice serious. I want to see you again, but I want you to know something. I not like other girls here. I not want your money. I want to know your heart. I believe her. God help me, I believe every word. 3 weeks later, I'm doing things I haven't done in years. Nim takes me to local temples, her hand small and warm in mine as she explains the significance of each Buddha statue. This one for good health, she says, lighting incense with practiced movements. This one for happiness and love. She glances at me when she says this and I feel like a teenager again. She teaches me to cook pad thai in her tiny apartment, standing behind me as I stir the noodles, her arms around my waist as she guides my hands. More gentle, she whispers against my ear. Thai cooking is like love. Too much force, everything break. Her apartment is smaller than my garage back in Ohio, but it's spotless and filled with small touches that make it feel like home. Fresh flowers in every room, photos of family on the walls, a small shrine in the corner where she prays each morning. She introduces me to her friends at the night market, vendors who've known her for years. This my special friend from America, she tells them in Thai, then translates for me. I tell them you very kind man. They all smile and nod, but I catch the looks they exchange when they think I'm not watching. Something passes between them, a communication I can't read. What did they really say? I ask later as we walk between the stalls. Nim looks confused. I tell you already. They say you seem like good man. No, I mean when they spoke in Thai. After you introduced me. She stops walking and turns to face me, her expression hurt. Jackie, you think I lie to you? The pain in her voice makes me feel like an ass. No, sometimes I feel like I'm missing something. Cultural things. She takes my hands in hers. Jackie, I understand. You careful because you hurt before. Is normal. But I tell you truth always. My friends, they just surprised to see me with foreign man. Is not common in my family. She shows me pictures of her family that night, sitting cross-legged on her bed as she flips through photo albums. Her mother in a village up north, beautiful like Nim but worn down by years of hard work. Her younger brother in his university uniform, serious and studious. Very expensive, she says, pointing at his school photo. But education is future, yes? My mother worked very hard to send him to university. Clean houses, sell food at market. She want him to have better life. I nod, remembering how I put my own kids through college before they stopped calling. Back when I thought being a good provider was the same as being a good father. Your mother sounds like a strong woman, I say. Like you. Nim's eyes fill with tears. She is my hero. But it's hard for her. My father died when I was 15. She do everything alone. The protective instinct that's been dormant for years suddenly roars to life. This woman, this beautiful, caring woman, has been taking care of everyone but herself. She must be proud of you, I say. Working hard, staying close to family. She worry about me, Nim admits. I am 34. In Thailand, woman my age should have husband, children. She thinks something wrong with me because I choose to be alone. There's nothing wrong with you, I tell her firmly. You're perfect. She looks at me like no one's ever said that to her before. You think so? I know so. When she mentions her brother's tuition is due next month, I feel that familiar tug in my chest. The same one that made me work double shifts when my kids needed braces, when Sarah wanted to renovate the kitchen. But this time, it's different. This time, someone actually seems grateful. How much? I ask without thinking. She looks startled. Oh no, Jackie. I not tell you to ask for money. I worry sometimes. My mother already sacrificed so much. How much is the tuition? She names a figure that's significant to her but manageable for me. About what I use to spend on Sarah's monthly shopping trips. I could help, I offer. No, she says quickly. It's not your responsibility. You already do so much, spending time with me, being kind to my friends. But I can see the hope in her eyes, quickly hidden. The same hope I felt when I thought someone might finally need me again. Let me think about it, I say, and she nods, not pushing. That night, she makes my favorite curry and we talk about the future. I would like to visit America someday, she says dreamily. See snow. Meet your family. I don't tell her there's not much family left to meet. My kids made it clear after the divorce that I was the problem, that Sarah was better off without me. But the way Nim talks about meeting them like it's a privilege she'd treasure makes me think maybe I was wrong about everything. I cannot ask you, Nim says, staring at her phone with tears streaming down her face. We're having breakfast at our usual cafe, but something's wrong. She's been quiet all morning, distracted, checking her phone every few minutes. Jackie, I cannot ask you for this. My stomach drops. Whatever's coming, I can feel it's big. What's wrong? She shows me her phone screen. It's a message in Thai, but I can see numbers. Big numbers. My brother, she says, her voice breaking. University says he cannot continue without payment. They give deadline. 1 week only. Her hands are shaking as she puts the phone down. My mother, she call me crying. She try to borrow money from neighbors, from family, but nobody have enough. If my brother cannot pay, he lose everything. All his work, all our sacrifice. The desperation in her voice cuts through me like a knife. This isn't manipulation. This is real fear. Real panic. How much do they need? I ask. $2,800, she whispers. But I cannot ask my American friend for money. Is not right? We know each other only short time. But she doesn't have to ask. That's the thing about good men, Sarah used to say before she became cruel. We fix things. It's what we do. It's the only thing we're really good at. I can help, I say immediately. She looks up, hope and shame warring in her eyes. Jackie, no. Is too much. I cannot accept. You're not asking. I'm offering. The relief on her face when I say this makes every penny worth it before I've even transferred it. You are Angel, she whispers, kissing me like she means it. I pay you back. Promise. Maybe take long time, but I pay every baht. I tell her not to worry about it. Money's just paper when you're alone. But when you're with someone who looks at you like you hung the moon, that's when money becomes love made visible. I transfer the money that afternoon. Nim cries when she sees the confirmation, clutching the receipt like it's made of gold. You saved my family, she says. You saved my brother's future. That evening, her brother calls her on video chat. She puts the phone between us so I can see him, the serious young man in his dorm room. Thank you, Uncle Jackie, he says in careful English, his eyes bright with tears. I study very hard. Make you proud. Make my family proud. Uncle Jackie. When's the last time anyone called me uncle anything? When's the last time I felt like I mattered to someone's future? You just focus on your studies, I tell him. Make your sister proud. After the call, Nim is quiet for a long time. We're sitting on her balcony watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. Jackie, she says finally, you change everything for my family. How can I thank you? You don't need to thank me, I say. This is what people do when they care about each other. She takes my hand and holds it against her cheek. I care about you very much, she says. More than I expect. More than I should, maybe. Why shouldn't you? Because you are American. You have different life. Someday you go back to America and I just memory. The sadness in her voice breaks something open in my chest. What if I don't want to go back? I hear myself say. What if I want to stay here? With you. She looks at me like I've just promised her the world. You mean this? I mean it. That night, she cooks my favorite curry and we talk seriously about the future. She mentions wanting to visit America someday, maybe meet my family, see where I grew up. The way she talks about it, like it's a dream she's afraid to want too much, makes me want to give her everything. Maybe next year, I say. We could plan a trip. Really? Her excitement is infectious. Yes, really. But even as I say it, a small voice in the back of my head whispers that I'm moving too fast, promising too much. I tell that voice to shut up. For the first time in years, I'm happy. For the first time in years, someone needs me. Isn't that worth the risk? Starts small, so small I almost miss it. Nim's phone buzzing during dinner, the third time this week. She glances at it, frowns, then silences it without answering. Sorry, she says, smiling apologetically. Work calls. At 9 p.m.? She laughs, but it sounds forced. Flower market very busy now. Wedding season, you know? Many orders. I nod, but something feels off. The flower market closes at 6. I've walked her home enough times to know. Who was it? I ask casually. My boss, she says, not meeting my eyes. Always calling about tomorrow's delivery. Very stressed job sometimes. But when her phone buzzes again 5 minutes later, she doesn't just silence it. She steps outside to take the call, speaking in rapid Thai, her voice low and urgent. Through the window, I watch her pace back and forth, gesturing with her free hand. This doesn't look like a conversation about flowers. When she comes back inside, her smile is bright. Too bright. Everything okay? Ask. Yes. Just work problem. Boring for you. But I can see the tension in her shoulders. The way she keeps glancing at her phone. The next red flag comes 3 days later. I decide to surprise her at the flower market with lunch. Something we've done before. But when I get there, her stall is closed. A handwritten sign in Thai hangs on the front. Excuse me. I ask another vendor. Where is Nim today? The woman looks confused. Nim. I point to her stall. The young woman who works here. Tall, beautiful smile. The woman's expression clears. Ah, you mean Nong Nim. She not work today. Maybe sick. But when I check Instagram later, there's a story posted just an hour ago. Nim at a shopping mall across town. Laughing with friends I don't recognize. She's not sick. She's somewhere else with people I've never met, doing things she doesn't want me to know about. That evening, when I mention I stopped by the market, she has an explanation ready. I so sick today, she says, touching her forehead dramatically. But feeling better now. Maybe just tired. I saw your Instagram story, I say carefully. From the mall. For just a second, her mask slips. I see panic flash across her face before the smile returns. Instagram is old photo, Jackie. You know, technology confuses me. Sometimes it posts old things. I want to believe her. God. I want to believe her so badly it hurts. Because the alternative is admitting I've been a fool again. That I read the signs wrong. That my judgment's as broken as my marriage was. So I nod and let it go. But I start paying attention. The money requests start coming more frequently. Small at first. Her motorbike needs repairs. Very expensive in Thailand, she says, showing me the estimate. Maybe $500. Her phone bill is overdue. I forget to pay. Now they charge penalty. So embarrassing. Her mother needs medicine. Doctors say she have diabetes. Must buy special medicine every month. Never big amounts. Never demands. Just gentle mentions, tears in her eyes, that helpless look that makes me reach for my wallet before my brain catches up. You don't have to, she always says after I offer. I find another way. But there is no other way and we both know it. That's the game, isn't it? Make me feel like the hero while she plays the damsel. Except it doesn't feel like a game when she falls asleep in my arms, whispering thank you against my chest. It doesn't feel like manipulation when she introduces me to her neighbors as her boyfriend, pride clear in her voice. The doubt eats at me anyway. My buddy Mike back home would call me an idiot. Sarah would roll her eyes and say it's typical Jackie, throwing money at problems instead of facing reality. But they're not here. They don't see how Nim looks at me when she thinks I'm not watching. They don't know what it's like to matter to someone again. They don't know what it's like to be alone for 3 years and then suddenly have someone who cares if you come home. Jackie, Nim says one evening, finding me staring out her window. You seem sad lately. I do something wrong. I turn to look at her. She's wearing one of my old t-shirts, her hair messy from sleep, and she looks so young, so innocent. No, I say. Just thinking. About what? About how lucky I am, I lie. To find you. She smiles and comes to wrap her arms around me. I am lucky one. You changed my whole life. As she says this, her phone buzzes on the nightstand. She doesn't move to check it, but I see her eyes flick toward it. The spell breaks, just a little. Just enough to let the doubt creep back in. Jackie, Nim says over breakfast, her voice different. Smaller. Scared. I need to tell you something important. My stomach drops before she even starts talking. It's been 4 months now, and I know that tone. It's the same one Sarah used when she needed to discuss our future. The same one my kids used when they called to tell me they weren't coming for Christmas anymore. What is it? I ask, setting down my coffee. My hands are already shaking. My visa, she says, staring at her plate instead of looking at me. Tourist visa is ending soon. 1 month only. The words hit me like a physical blow. 1 month. After 4 months of building something real, something beautiful, I get 1 more month. Can't you renew it? I try already. They say no. Too many renewals already. I must go back to village. Leave Bangkok. Leave. She stops, her voice breaking. Leave you. The solution hangs in the air between us, unspoken but obvious. Marriage visa. Spousal sponsorship. A path to permanent residency that requires one thing. Me putting my name on papers that make this relationship legally real. Making promises I'm not sure I'm ready to make to a woman I'm not sure I completely understand. There must be something we can do, I say desperately. Some way to fix this. She looks up at me then, hope and fear mixing in her eyes. There is agent, she says quietly. My friend tell me about him. He helped many couples with visa problem. What kind of help? He know the system. Know what papers need, what process work best. But, she hesitates. But what? Is expensive. Maybe $15,000 for all government fees, processing, legal work, everything. $15,000. That's a third of my annual pension. That's my emergency fund, my safety net, my ticket home if things go wrong. But it's also the price of keeping the first woman in 3 years who makes me laugh, who remembers how I like my eggs, who doesn't flinch when I mention my bad knee or my gray hair. That's a lot of money, I say carefully. I understand if it's too much, Nim says quickly, tears starting to fall. I understand if you're not ready for such big step. Maybe we have good time together, yes? Good memories. But if I go back to village, I cannot come back to city. No money for that life. And you probably find someone better. Someone who not have visa problem. The desperation in her voice cuts through me. She's not manipulating me. She's terrified. We're both terrified. Let me meet this agent, I hear myself say. Let me understand what we're talking about. Her face lights up like I've just saved her life. Really? You want to try? I want to try. The agent meets us at a fancy hotel downtown the next day. His name is Samchai and he wears a suit that costs more than most people make in a month. Everything about him screams success, competence, connections. Mr. Jackie, he says, shaking my hand with a smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes. Nim, tell me about your situation. Very common problem. Very easy to solve if you know right process. He spreads documents across the table between us. Official-looking forms, government websites on his laptop, testimonials from other couples. Your lady is very lucky, he tells me, glancing at Nim with approval. American husband is golden ticket in Thailand. But process must be perfect. No mistakes allowed. One wrong form, one missing document, everything finish. He walks us through the steps. Fiancé visa first, then adjustment of status, then permanent residency. Background checks, financial requirements, medical exams. Normally take 2 years, maybe 3, he says. But I have special relationship with officials. Can expedite everything. 6 months, maximum. And the cost? I ask. All-inclusive, he says smoothly. Government fees, my services, expedited processing, everything. $15,000. Very reasonable for such complicated case. Nim squeezes my hand under the table. Her palm is sweating. I need to think about it, I say. Samkai's smile tightens almost imperceptibly. Of course. But time is important factor. Nim's visa expire in 3 weeks. After that, much more complicated. Much more expensive. That night, lying in bed listening to Nim breathe, I stare at the ceiling and try to make sense of my life. 6 months ago, I was a bitter divorced man drinking himself to sleep in an empty house in Ohio. Now I'm considering spending $15,000 to marry a woman I've known for 4 months. Am I crazy? Or am I finally awake? Jackie, Nim whispers in the dark. You awake? Yeah. I scared, she admits. About visa. About future. About losing you. I turn to face her. In the dim light from the street, she looks so young, so vulnerable. You won't lose me, I say. Promise? I promise. I write the check the next morning. Nim cries when I hand it to Samchai, whether from relief or something else, I can't tell anymore. She holds me tighter than usual that night, whispers promises about our future together, about visiting America, about making me proud. But lying there afterward, listening to her breathe, I can't shake the feeling that I just bought something I can't return. And I'm not sure what I actually purchased. Samchai stops returning my calls on Tuesday. The first time, I figure he's busy. Government agencies, paperwork, you know how it is. The second time, I leave a voicemail asking for an update. By the 4th unanswered call, my chest is tight with something that feels like panic. Nim's phone goes straight to voicemail on Wednesday. That's when I know something's really wrong. She always answers my calls. Always. Even when she's working, even when she's with family, she picks up after 2 rings with that bright, hello, my darling, that never fails to make me smile. But now there's nothing. Just her voice on the recording asking me to leave a message. By Thursday, I'm standing outside her apartment building, talking to a landlord who speaks broken English and keeps shaking his head. Lady go, he says, pointing at the empty balcony where Nim used to hang her laundry. 2 days ago. Take everything. No say where. What do you mean, gone? My voice sounds strange, too high. Move out, he explains patiently. Rent paid through month. But she take bags, everything. Gone. The apartment key she gave me 3 weeks ago doesn't work. When the landlord lets me in, the place is stripped bare. Not just empty. Stripped. Like she was never there at all. The photos of her family, gone. The little shrine where she prayed each morning, gone. The flowers she kept in every room, gone. The only thing left is a single photo of us at the temple, face down on the counter. When I flip it over, there's a water stain across my face, making me look like I'm dissolving. I drive to the flower market where she worked, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. The vendors know me by now. The American who comes by sometimes, buys roses for the pretty girl, always tips too much. But when I ask about Nim, they get quiet. Uncomfortable glances. Shuffling feet. Finally, the old woman who sells orchids pulls me aside. Nim not work here long time, she says in careful English. Maybe 2 months she comes sometimes. But not worker. Just visitor. 2 months. But I've been buying flowers from her for 4 months. I've watched her arrange bouquets, seen her handle customers, heard her complain about her boss. Unless. You sure? I ask, my voice cracking. Young woman, about this tall, beautiful smile? The old woman nods sadly. Many girls like that come here. Meet foreign men. Is business, yes? Not flower business. Different business. The ground shifts under my feet. Everything I thought I knew, everything I believed, crumbling like sand. What kind of business? But she just shakes her head and walks away. My hands are shaking when I call Samkai's number again. This time, a different voice answers. Younger. Bored. Hello? I need to speak to Samchai, I say. About my visa case. Samchai no work here anymore, the voice says. You want new agent? What about my case? My fiancé's visa application? Long pause. I can hear typing in the background. You have receipt number? I read him the numbers from my paperwork with trembling fingers. Another pause, longer this time. More typing. No record, he says finally. You sure you have right number? The hotel where we met Samchai has never heard of him. The receptionist looks at me like I'm crazy when I describe him. No, sir. No agent work from here. Maybe you confused with different hotel. The business card he gave me has a phone number that doesn't exist and an address that leads to a 7-Eleven. The government websites he showed us are real, but when I call the actual immigration office, they have no record of any application in Nim's name. No record of any case in my name. Nothing. $15,000. Gone. Like Nim. Like Samchai. Like the fool I used to think I wasn't. I sit in my truck outside the 7-Eleven, staring at couples walking by. Young Thai women with older Western men, laughing and holding hands, looking exactly like Nim and I did just a week ago. How many of them are real? How many are just better actors than I was an audience? My phone buzzes. For one desperate second, I think it might be her. But it's just a notification from my bank. Available balance, $847. From $18,000 to $847 in 4 months. The price of believing in love again. The message comes 3 weeks later when I've almost convinced myself to stop checking my phone every 5 minutes like some lovesick teenager. It's from a number I don't recognize, but the English has Nim's careful grammar, her particular way of avoiding articles that I use to find charming. Jackie, I know you are angry. I know you think I am a bad person. Maybe you are right. But I want you to know something true. I did care for you. Not all was lie. You were a good man. Too good maybe. I am sorry for hurt you. Please do not try to find me. Is better this way. Take care of yourself. And that's it. For months of my life, $15,000 of my money, and what feels like the last piece of my ability to trust another human being, summed up in a text message that probably took her 30 seconds to write. I stare at the words until they blur. Read them again, looking for some hidden meaning, some clue about what was real and what wasn't. But there's nothing there except careful words designed to make me feel better about being played for a fool. The worst part isn't the money, though that hurts. It's not even the lies, though those cut deep. It's the I did care for you part. Because some pathetic part of me wants to believe that too. Wants to think that somewhere in all the deception, there were moments that mattered. Kisses that weren't calculated. Laughter that wasn't performed. Morning conversations that weren't just intelligence gathering. I type and delete a dozen responses. Angry ones. You destroyed me. Pleading ones. Just tell me what was real. Cold ones. I hope it was worth it. Questions about the money. How could you take everything? Accusations about the lies. Did you ever feel anything? Confessions about how much she hurt me. I trusted you with everything. But what's the point? What answer could she give that would make this feel better? What explanation could justify taking a lonely man's savings and his last chance at happiness? Instead, I save her number under a new name, lesson learned. I drive to the temple where we used to go together, the one where she taught me to light incense for good luck. There's a new monk there, young guy with kind eyes who speaks better English than Nim pretended to. You look sad, brother, he says when he sees me staring at the Buddha statue where Nim used to pray, or pretend to pray. I don't know anymore what was real. I tell him the whole story. Why not? Confession's supposed to be good for the soul, right? He listens without judgment, nodding occasionally, his face peaceful in that way monks master. When I finish, he's quiet for a long time. Attachment is suffering, he says finally. But so is the refusal to attach. You loved. That is not wrong. Her actions are hers to carry, not yours. But I feel so stupid. I tell him, 58 years old, and I fell for the oldest trick in the book. How did I not see it? Because you were looking with your heart instead of your eyes, he says. This is not weakness. This is what makes you human. The question now is, will you let this close your heart forever? Or will you let it teach your heart to see more clearly? I don't have an answer for that. Maybe I never will. The pain you feel, he continues, it means the love was real, at least on your side. That has value, even if it was not returned honestly. I light 3 sticks of incense before I leave. 1 for the money I'll never get back. 1 for the trust I'll have to rebuild. And 1 for the man I was before I met Nim. Flawed and lonely, but not yet broken by someone else's greed. The smoke rises straight up in the still air, carrying my prayers to whatever gods listen to old fools who should know better. 6 months later, I'm still in Thailand, but everything's different. I moved to a smaller city, away from the temples and markets that remind me of her. Away from the cafe where she laughed at my jokes about American coffee. Away from the flower market where none of it was real. I volunteer at an animal shelter now, teaching English to local kids. They don't want anything from me except help with their homework and the occasional candy bar. When 8-year-old Sampit struggles with her pronunciation and I help her sound out the words, her smile is genuine, pure. When 12-year-old Niran shows me his drawing of his family and asks me to write, "I love my mama" in English at the bottom, there's no agenda. Just a kid who wants to tell his mother he loves her. I've learned things I wish I didn't need to know. Like how common my story is. How there are whole networks of women who specialize in lonely Western men. How the agents and the girlfriends and sometimes even the families are all in on it together. How they share information about targets, compare notes on what works, celebrate successful scores like fishermen bragging about their catch. A guy named Robert at the expat bar told me his story last week. Different woman, same script. Visa problems, family emergencies, business opportunities that required urgent investment. He lost $30,000 before he figured it out. Said he still looks for her sometimes even though he knows better. The worst part, he told me over his 3rd beer, his hands shaking slightly as he lit another cigarette, is that I still miss her. Even knowing what she was, what she did. I miss how she made me feel. I understand that now. I miss Nim too. Not the real Nim because I never knew her. I miss the version of myself I was when I believed her lies. The man who felt needed, wanted, loved. The man who had someone to buy flowers for, someone who laughed at his jokes, someone who made him feel like he wasn't just counting down the days until he died alone. That man was a fool. But he was also alive in a way I hadn't been for years. Maybe that's worth something. Maybe that's worth the price I paid to learn the difference between being loved and being useful. I still get messages sometimes. Friend requests from beautiful young women, with profiles full of temple photos and inspirational quotes about love and destiny. Messages that start with "Hello, handsome man," and compliments about my kind eyes in photos where I look tired and old. I delete them without opening. The heart that learned to love again also learned to protect itself. You seem different, Niran tells me one afternoon as we work on his English homework. When you first come here, you very sad. Now you just careful. Out of the mouths of babes. Is that bad? I ask him. He considers this seriously, the way kids do when adults ask them real questions. No, careful is good. But maybe not too careful. My teachers say balance is important for everything. Balance. Such a simple word for such a complicated thing. I'm not bitter anymore. At least I don't think I am. I'm careful. There's a difference. I hope there's a difference. Some nights, when the loneliness feels like it might swallow me whole, when the silence in my apartment gets so loud it hurts, I think about texting that number saved as lesson learned, just to see if it still works, just to ask if any of it was real, just to hear her voice one more time, even if it's telling me lies. But I never do. Some lessons are too expensive to learn twice. Tomorrow I'm flying back to Ohio for my grandson's birthday. First time home since I left 18 months ago. My daughter Sarah, yes, I named her after her mother before everything went wrong, says she's glad I'm coming back, that she was worried about me over here. You sound different on the phone, Dad, she told me last week. More, I don't know, present. She doesn't know the whole story, just that things didn't work out with the woman I mentioned. Maybe I'll tell her someday. Maybe not. Some shame is too heavy to share, even with family. Some mistakes are too personal to become family stories. But I'm alive. Scarred, poorer, wiser, but alive. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all any of us can ask for in this world. To survive our own capacity for hope. To learn that the heart can break and heal and break again and still keep beating. To understand that being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely and being loved doesn't always mean being valued. The kids at the shelter are throwing me a goodbye party today. Nothing fancy, just cake and drawings they made, but it means more to me than any expensive dinner ever did. Real affection freely given, no strings attached, no hidden agendas. Just kids who will miss their English teacher when he goes away. You come back, Teacher Jackie? Little Sambit asks, her eyes serious behind thick glasses. I will, I promise her. I will come back. And I mean it. Thailand taught me about betrayal, yes. But it also taught me about genuine kindness, about the difference between being wanted for what you can provide and being appreciated for who you are. The kids see an old American man who helps them with their homework and brings them candy. Nothing more, nothing less. That's enough. That's more than enough. As I pack my suitcase, I find the photo of Nim and me at the temple, the one with the water stain across my face. I've carried it with me through 2 moves, never quite able to throw it away. But now I can. Not with anger or bitterness, but with something like gratitude. She taught me something valuable even if she didn't mean to. She taught me that I could love again. That lesson was worth $15,000. The fact that she stole it doesn't make the lesson less true. I'm going home to Ohio, but I'm not the same man who left. I'm someone who knows the difference between love and loneliness, between giving and being taken from. Someone who learned that the worst thing isn't being alone. Ing on her next mark, spinning the same stories that worked on me. Somewhere down there, Samchai is showing another desperate man official-looking documents that mean nothing. Somewhere down there, another lonely heart is about to learn the same lesson I did. I should feel angry about that. I should want to warn them to save them from the pain I went through. But mostly I just feel tired. And strangely, unexpectedly, grateful. I loved someone completely, even if it wasn't real. I felt alive again, even if it was built on lies. I mattered to someone, even if it was only because of my bank account. For 4 months, I wasn't just an old man marking time until death. I was someone's boyfriend, someone's hero, someone's future. That feeling was real, even if nothing else was. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough to build a life on. A careful life. A wiser life. But a life nonetheless. The stewardess asks if I need anything, and I realize I'm crying. Not from sadness, but from something I can't quite name. Relief, maybe? Or forgiveness? For Nim, for myself, for all the lonely people in the world just trying to find someone to matter to. No, I tell her, wiping my eyes. I'm good. I'm really good. And for the first time in 6 months, I actually mean it.